What's
Okay.
up, Alex?
It worked this time, miss.
It did. Very nice.
Leland showed up.
I know. I hit it. Yeah, yesterday it just kept freezing on it. I don't know what the deal was.
With me, it just kept saying access denied.
I have no idea what that was. Glad it was only a one-day thing, though. But I wanted to poll you guys on how you want to spend Friday. You can put either 1 or 2 in the chat, and I can look at it. Do you want to use Friday as just to sit here? You guys still have to check in attendance-wise, but I won't require you guys to stay in class. I could create a poll. I guess that would be easier. It'll take me a second. So read through this right here, and I've got it. I've already started.
But what is that? I can't see it.
Can't see it. I'll blow it up.
All right.
Is that better?
Oh, yes. Thank you. This in our packet or Canvas?
This is on Canvas. It was an announcement from yesterday. I'm going
Okay.
to steal this. Hold on.
I'll check it out.
You were too slow, so I did it for you.
Thanks. Because it blocked me from doing it now. So I was just going to do the link. Oh, wait. Yeah. Way to make it super easy. 50-50.
Somebody evened it out again.
Aha. I found it.
Almost there. Got 8 out of 13 of you. I will tell you, I just finished writing the assessment today, this morning. I think it's 18 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4 are short response. The rest are like some sort of matching multiple choice, whatever. It does cover the whole packet, including the stuff today. And I think I set a time limit for 18 questions at 40 minutes.
Where are these questions at?
The questions are in the chat, Leland, or the poll option.
Okay.
Number 1 is just ask questions, and so you guys would show up for the whole, show up for the whole class period, and we'll just questions and review or whatever you want. Or option 2, give you Friday's time to do the assessment. So all you have to do is show up, say, Ms. Peterson, I'm here, I'm gonna go do my assessment, and that's your class period that day. And you don't have to hang out in teams. All right. I mean, don't forget there is also time after school today, if you want. Still waiting on one person to vote. I am going to put my screen back to normal, though, because this is just too much. Okay. So yesterday we went over this one a little bit. I forget the wording for this one, and I don't feel like looking it up. But this deals with energy produced from tires. It mentioned in there that tires have a 50% efficiency. So that way you're looking at whatever number to produce so much, you're going to have to do it 2 times over. All right, so we will do option 2 tomorrow, where you'll just check in for attendance and go do your assessment, and then we'll go from there. All right. Also, if you got bored, I also gave you the other version, the 10-minute instead of 30-minute version of the Lorax. So there is it.
You gotta listen to it?
I mean, you don't have to, but if you didn't want to watch a 30-minute cartoon for today, then you could have watched that.
Okay.
All right. The other thing I want to mention as we're moving on to a new unit next week is that Canvas doesn't give us a whole lot of space. And so therefore, I'm probably over the next week going to be pulling down, the PowerPoints. So if you still need access for some reason to PowerPoints, if you click on the one that says website, it'll bring you here. And like unit 0, no, Alex, don't worry about it. And then I have it posted here. So this is like the stuff you saw on the front of your packet, probably throughout your packet, and then each of the PowerPoints and a PDF version of the packet. So in hindsight, those will be there because I will have to remove them from Canvas. They take up too much space. Any questions before we start talking about the Lorax? Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Go for it.
So my pen wasn't working, so I had to type some things out, and some things that we went over in the slide I couldn't do. And then I
Okay.
have something going on at 4, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to the meeting.
Okay. We
If
can
I
set up.
email it to you
Yeah,
or something.
that's fine. Otherwise, we can set up a separate time, like an appointment or something. We can do it. Okay.
Okay.
So I did numbers, Niaja, I did numbers 1 and 4 for you. So you could see them, the setup, and then the little yellow sticky was the answer. What is it? You guys are responsible for practicing the rest.
I'm so upset.
Why?
My computer died earlier and I lost all my progress on my packet.
Why don't you save it?
I did. Computer just don't work, okay?
All right, so I gave you the setup here, and then the final answer here, the setup here, and then the final answer here. Okay, I'll let you back in, Ashley. So that's what you're doing for the other ones. I just picked the first one, and I thought what was the hardest one that I would help you with. And then, like, Naja, if you want to stay after the 3:20 mark, because I do have an 8th period class, then we can go over a couple more if you want. And I even pulled out a whiteboard so I could actually like draw and hold it. That's why I don't have a screen back here. All right. Let's see. All right, so we're in the very last section of your packet. It's section 6, collapse of societies. So hopefully you guys may or may not have listened yesterday and went ahead and at least watched the Lorax. So we can talk a couple questions about it, and then we're going to look at Trout and hopefully Easter Island case study as well. I need to pull up the links for them. So hopefully everyone is at least familiar with the Lorax, right? Maybe. Because I love Dr. Seuss, so it's totally my fave. This is me in the teacher room when somebody presses too many copies. All right, so what What was this overall cartoon about? Saving the trees. Absolutely. The truffula trees. All right. Go. Deforestation, trees, fresh air. What will happen if we don't take care of an ecosystem? Not wasting paper. There's something else actually in there too that it kind of touched on. And it's question number 3 in the case of the Lorax in your packet. What were the benefits? There was actually some good things to it. Nice, Dante. Being good to the environment in general. There's kind of a, well, we'll talk about this question number 3. What were the benefits to the town that were brought by the Onceler? What were some benefits? Because this is always a fight against any sort of environmental movement. Money, exactly. So looking at economic benefits. So the Onceler made all these items, every item basically, out of the truffula trees and the thneeds, and that produced employment, that produced houses, that produced businesses, a city, a functioning city at that. Did it last? Did that last? Did all the... He built a franchise, absolutely. No, it did not, right, Isaiah? So that didn't last. What he was doing was not sustainable. It wouldn't have held up long term. So number 4 being, what would have, how could those needs been made without destroying everything? Just take a guess. I know we haven't talked a whole lot about specific conservation methods, but plucking them. Think about Christmas trees. Here's a really good example. What do they do with Christmas trees? Planting them. So replanting them. Well, they do fake ones too. That is true. But they have farms where they can grow them and they stage them out so that way it doesn't constantly just complete deforestation. So you guys understand what that's all about. Do you have any questions before we move on to trow? Yeah, absolutely, Nyjah. And in the 90s, the US government actually made a rule for every tree you cut down, you needed to plant one in its place, which of course logging companies weren't really fond of because that meant they had to buy stuff and plant things and take care of it so it did grow. But definitely. All right, so trow is one you're probably, I would say, a little less familiar with. Did any of you guys take a look at it? Just curious. I'm gonna exit out so I can click on or get my link. I thought it would let me, but it did not. All right, so, oh my gosh, it's gonna take forever. We're gonna go through trow really quick. Oops. The significance of not seeing the Onceler's face. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I kind of like that one. So throughout the whole movie or whatever cartoon, book, you don't see the Onceler's face. He remains anonymous, and that's typically one of those things that's seen. He's representing just overall corporations, capitalism, consumerism, anything like that, where he's leading the charge of destroying all the truffula trees. So it's anonymous. It can kind of stand for a few different things. He's not a single person or a single character. All right. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a look at Trow. Oops. What do you already notice maybe from this right off the bat? First impression. No first impressions? I don't even see anyone.
Bro, the rhymes, though.
It
You
is
got
another
bars.
one with rhymes.
You got straight bars.
All right, so this is another one with rhymes. It was kind of meant as a opposing viewpoint to the Lorax, which everyone is so much more familiar with. Yeah, the writing and the characters are very different, and in this case, none of them remain anonymous. So a warm day in June, way out on Oak Knoll, with my saw and my axe hung up on my pole, I was fixing a wheel on my board flipping packer when I glimpsed what I thought was a green-crested cracker. I looked to the sky. That wasn't a bird. It looked like a green-crested man. How absurd. Who do you think this represents, this green-crested man? Say that again. Sorry, Kailajane.
A worker.
The Grinch.
That guy would be a worker right here. What are you saying, Leland?
The Grinch. You said green and crusty.
Well, green and crusty for sure. I'm going to go more with what Jackie and Alex have put in the chat, that he's representing the Mother Nature, the Lorax, anyone pro-environment, to where this guys are like worker, all right? The Lorax is, look, they can be different colors. It's a different author altogether. All right, so he was drifting along, just riding the breeze, when below him he heard the clink of my keys. "Mister," he yelled with a whiskery wheeze, "I am Guardbark, protector of the trees." With one squinted eye, he sized up my clothes, my axe, my saw, and my steel-booted toes. All right. So as you keep going through this, you can probably see the viewpoint that it does already, but I'll keep reading a little bit more. "Hello, Mr. Guardbark," I said with unease, and not to be rude, I got off my knees. He must have been flying for quite a long while. He seemed kind of sad, so I said with a smile, "I welcome you here with loblolly grows, and the roots of the shade grove tickle your toes. And the roots, when the shrub bird sings and hums out his nose, the blue-beaked barebackers peck out the rose. I'm Trow, the logger. I harvest these trees for ball bats and houses and things such as these." So aside from my poor reading, because this is insanely blurry to me right now, what is the lumberjack representing? A carpenter, the companies that cut down trees, good. Corporations, I'll take that. Could be letting the money get the best of them, but oops. Why have I lost my pages? So But before I could shake or offer a seat, the guard bark stopped, stiffened, and stamped on his 2 feet. Sir, he said loudly, you're a grizzly with greed. Cutting hagbarks is mean, a horribious deed. Look at what a mess your hacking has made. You did all of this just to get your bills paid? No, not at all, I said with a smile. Have a seat on that pile. This might take a while. I won't take a seat or listen or look. The guard bark raved on. He snarled and shook. I'm the guard bark, I tell you, keeper of the trees. Our future, you know, is dependent on these. You must stop this hacking and whacking and stacking. You should not be here. I must send you packing. Hey, look at this reference right here. So what is the persona that's given to guard bark? Like, what do you think of him already? I'll even scroll back up to the picture. Speak English, Alex. Oh, okay. All right. I'll take those comments, absolutely. And in this one, they're making the lumberjack look like what? More normal and good. Yeah, absolutely, Nyasia, totally. In this case, the lumberjack is the good guy. The guard bark is like the crazy psycho, I'm gonna, set your house on fire because it's made of wood type thing. In some cases, they get called environmental terrorists for a reason. So that's trying to push off a whole different image. Now, this one comes from the aspect of the onceler, I guess you could say, and all of that. I'm going to scroll to the end. You guys can read the rest on your own. Oh my gosh. There we go. You know, Mr. Guardbark, I've thought it, I've dreamed, I've fumed, and I've steamed. I figured and schemed. I want the best future for my boy. I want trees to be here for him to enjoy. With that, he looked me straight in the eye, then I shook my head and left to the sky. He said, I am Guardbark, ward of the trees, and I like the way that you're managing these. I'm glad we chatted, conversed, and confided. Now I think our views aren't quite so one-sided. And perhaps best of all, the Guardbark beamed. I think things are not quite as bad as they seemed. What can you infer from this last part of the story? Nyasia, yeah. Overall, it gives a similar lesson to Lorax. They got along. And their views weren't so one-sided. So they taught each other about each position. He agreed not to cut down all of the trees. They came to a consensus. They both acted reasonable, educated each other. If you saw me scroll through some of the pictures. And then they came to a consensus to do some sort of conversation or conservation, but still be able to build houses and things like that. Kilogeny, for me, it's page 19. It says reading Trow, and it looks like this. Who do you think would have wrote a story like this to defend a lumberjack? Somebody with that job, actually really, really close. It was written by the National Wood Flooring Manufacturers Association. And it was their way of saying, like, hey, making things is not bad, but we do agree that there could be a compromise. So they're one that said, yes, we can work to conserve. We can not just clear cut everything. And then be able to move on and make both parties better. Kailash, I think I have the packet pulled up. I think. Yep. It's the one that looks like that. So there was Lorax right here. And then this one on Trow. All right. All right. So when you guys are writing about it, I'm going to kind of scan through it a little bit because we have 7 minutes left and I want to talk about the last article a little bit. It's that emotional appeal. And if you haven't watched the news over probably the last couple years at least, you're definitely going to see more emotional appeal than factual. So keep that in mind. Oh, I needed the... So you've got a couple different articles here on Easter Island. And essentially, yes, it is, Kelajane. Javea, what does unless mean from the Lorax? Does anyone know that answer?
Repeat
Honestly, what does unless mean from the Lorax?
that. I last time I watched that, I was in the 2nd grade.
All right, nobody's speaking up. So the unless, or the message of unless, is there has to be those people that care about the future, or it'll exhaust those resources. So the people that do care for the future and not exhausting the resources, we all know we need those resources. We just need them. That's a really good answer, Naija. Need those people to care. Those people would be the unless people. Oops, I almost lost my headphones. All right, so knowing those two stories, what do you think? I'm having you look at, you guys know what Easter Island is, correct?
It's where the Easter Bunny lives.
Definitely not. Here, I had a picture up of it. This is what everyone typically knows it for. Yes, Kailajane, you can. Guys, please tell me you have seen this in your history classes. Something.
I'm playing your game. Leave me alone.
All right, it's known for its crazy big statues. All right, entire heads, and they actually do go below as well. But this is a little island. Oops. And we're going to talk about its demise from the night of the museum. Kailajane, I can do that, yeah. Oops. What is that from the night? I am totally lost on the night of the museum thing. Totally not me. So you can get an idea of the size of this absolutely gigantic island. Look, doesn't even want to load. there, you get your first kind of hint of where this island might be. So there was a civilization that lived out here all like on their own for hundreds and hundreds of years. Even the Mayans came all the way out here. So that's what this starts to talk about. So when we're talking about Lorax and Trow, we're talking about resources and how they get used, how quickly they get used, and how you can rebuild your resources. So yeah, there's only 2 minutes left of class, so you guys will definitely have to read this a little bit more on your own. But I mean, to this day, nobody still knows where those stones come from, but you did have approximately 2,000 people living on this island fighting a war, and then the resources being taken over. So I'm actually going to stop there and let you guys finish. Again, I'll be available at 3:20. Kaylajane, just jump on like the same meeting as if it were class time. And Daryl, if you're awake, this is, something like I expected from you last year, but then, COVID happened. I think you still owe me some music.
It's funny you said that because I did accidentally fall asleep. I'm not gonna lie.
Good thing I said your name. Now you owe me 2.
Oh, you too? What?
Remember last year you were supposed to rap about natural resources for me, and then COVID hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, now you owe me 2.
Dang.
All right, so the bell's about to ring. You guys can go to your 8th period or whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm gonna join the thing once after school.
Okay, deal. See you then. Oh my God, Leland, you and your donuts. Is it a quick question about it, Naija, or do you want to actually walk through it?
Bye, miss.
Bye. See you, Leland.